I know it's just so great, isn't it?
I don't know why.
You can see through it.
The radiator. All right. So, a couple of things today. First off, unit circle projects are due next week, Wednesday. So 8 days from today is unit circle. Okay. That same day will also be your test that will cover graphing, sines, and cosines, and curve fitting. Tomorrow, you're going to have a formative just on the graphing part. Okay? Right? So we got that going on today. Today, I would like to do 2 examples. So 2 notes examples, and then what's going to happen is then we're going to have a station rotation where you're going to be moving around the room. Okay? All right? So that's what's going to happen for that. Okay? So here is the general form, and again, this works for sines and for cosines too. Okay? A times our trig function, sine or cosine, times the quantity B times the quantity x minus c, or theta minus c, then plus d. Okay? So remember that A controls your amplitude. Okay? How high, that's your vertical stretch, or your vertical shrink. Okay? B controls your period. That's horizontal distance of the first lap, or of one complete lap, okay, or one complete wave. C is what we learned on Friday. That's where you start. That controls the start. And D controls the middle. Okay? So C and B deal with horizontal things. A and D deal with vertical things. Yeah? So with that being said, we would like to graph this. F of x equals 12 sine of negative pi times the quantity x plus 2, then plus 1. Yeah. So, on both tomorrow's formative and on next week's test, you will not, on a graphing problem, you will be given the function, and then you will be asked to find certain things of the 9. We'll pick 2 or 3 or 4 of the 9, and you'll be asked to give those as supplemental answers to each problem. Yeah? So, of the 9, give me one of them.
Very easy. Domain is all real numbers.
The domain is always all real numbers. That is, yes, the easy one. 12 is the amplitude. Do we agree with 12 being the amplitude? I would agree with 12 being the amplitude. Middle is 1. Middle is 1. I would agree with that. Right?
Period is pi.
Period is pi. Do we agree with the period being pi?
Never mind. No.
Not many people agree with you on that.
Period is 2.
Do you agree with the period being 2?
Yeah.
What's our formula for period? 2 pi divided by the absolute value of b. So that's going to be 2 pi divided by pi, which is 2. So my period is 2. Yeah. What else we got? Start is -2. So that means that our end would be at 0. Landon? I would go with a high of 13, yes, because that would be the middle plus the amplitude. So a high of 13. Two more to fill in. Low is negative 11. Which gets me my range is from negative 11 to positive 13. Okay? It is a sign. Yes, ma'am. The range? No. Is all you need. It is a sine curve, yes. So normally it would start where? Middle, then up, middle, down, middle, right? Okay? There are two things that flip a sine curve. What are they? A negative amplitude would flip it. That would flip a cosine curve too, right? Do we have a negative amplitude? Nope, so we're good there. What's the second thing? A negative b value flips only the sign. So this is a flipped sine curve. Okay? So it's going to start middle, go down, up, and then back to the middle. Okay? Okay? So that we've got there, there, and there. Okay? So we started at negative 2 and we ended at 0. So I can move my, come on now, I can move my vertical asymptote, or my vertical axes, I should say, to there. We had a middle of positive 1. Which would put us our high at 13, our low at negative 11. Badness. And negative b value flips the sign. Horizontally, this would be negative 2. This would be 0. That would be negative 1. Negative 1/2. Negative 3/2. Yes? Questions, comments, concerns, more explanation. Good. All right. So what I would like you to do now is I would like you, yes, you, to try this one. Right?
Oh my gosh. Guys, I can't do this.
We're going to spot check you on this one. Okay?
P values too.
So I would write this as negative cosine of negative 1/3 times x minus 6 pi, then plus 1.
I did it right.
Yes?
Maybe you just multiply by 3, like multiply it times 6 by 3, and then you get.
That changes the whole thing then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't multiply to get rid of the fraction because that's changing the problem. Yep.
How do you get the 6 pi?
How did I get the 6 pi there? Because negative 1/3 times whatever this is has to be 2 pi. So I basically divided 2 pi by negative 1/3 and got 6 pi. Keep flip or keep changing. Okay, now graphs. Domain,
What did you do?
all reals, yes.
She's
Okay, middle. Where's my middle? 1. What's my amplitude? 1. So that means I go up to 2, down to 0. Okay. Start. Where's my start?
6.5.
6 Period.
6.5.
6 pi also, because it's 2 pi divided by 1/3, which is, keep change flip, 6 pi. Which means my end is at 12 pi. It is a cosine curve, yes. Okay. So with it being a cosine curve with a the negative b value, does it do anything? On the cosine, negative b.
Oh, yeah.
On negative b for cosine?
Oh, and no.
Nothing, does nothing for cosine.
Useless.
Negative a. What does it do? It flips it. Okay, so instead of starting up and going down and ending back up, we're going to start down, up, and end down. Okay? We'll see how good I did with my horizontalness. Ooh, didn't do very well. We might need a little eraser.
That's fine.
Okay?
Are you?
That gives me, it starts at 0, my middle is at 1, my high is at 2, would start at 6 pi, my middle, oops, I didn't do a very good job of getting it to the middle, ends at 12 pi, so halfway would be 9, halfway would be 15 over 2, 21 over 2 would be the half. Not in the desk, please. That's why they're that way. Okay? Good? So, now, for the remainder of the time, I'm going to give you, the first class went with, they said 6 minutes. And then Mr. Ross had to add 4 minutes. So we're just going to start with 10 minutes. So on each of your, in the middle of each of your tables is 2 problems. Okay? What we want you to do with those 2 problems is we want you to graph them and then answer these 2 questions. This is kind of like formative prep for tomorrow, test prep for next week. Okay? Yep. Nope, we're rotating. Nice try. Okay? All right. Now, there are 2 different styles of tables. There's textbook tables and there's non-textbook tables. If you are at a non-textbook table, you need to rotate to a non-textbook table. If you're at a textbook table, you're going to rotate to a textbook table. And this, we're going to make it be really easy. Okay? Since these 4 tables over here are the non-textbook tables, you're just going to rotate around this way. Okay? You guys are going to rotate around
No,
this
it's
way.
just asking.
Okay? Alright? This table actually does count too. Okay?